Hello and welcome to the Say Yes Movement Podcast with Heather and John, where we help you with your professional and personal growth, helping you say yes to all the scary stuff. How are you doing today, Heather?
I am doing great, John. It is Friday, the day that we look back on the week, check in on all the impact we made, all of the positivity, and celebrate our successes. So, for all of our listeners out there, if you are listening in today, we want to hear what your successes are for the week. John, what is your Friday moment?
Right, yay. Absolutely. Listen, this week has been a great week. It's been a tiring week, right? Because last
Mm.
week I was in Arizona. I think it took me a couple of days to adjust to coming back because I'm like, why do I feel so tired? And it's Thursday. Um, I am celebrating that I had the opportunity to attend a 3-day health and wellness event, which really just opened up my eyes to a lot of different things when it comes to health and wellness, which is one of the key things in my life. And having the opportunity to meet some really fabulous people, connect and network. And, what's a result of all of that is this week too, I've, been able to connect and meet with some really amazing people and just have some really good conversations. So I'm celebrating connection. What about you, Heather? What are you celebrating?
I am celebrating getting loose ends closed. And,
Mm.
sometimes we have that action list, which is the things that you want to action. It's going to make a difference. And then sometimes you just have that list of things that have been on your list for too long. And I got a bunch of those off this week, and I'm feeling amazing about that. So I am celebrating getting those loose ends. And, here's a fun thing that happens just before you're getting ready to go on vacation, just before you're getting ready to get time out. Your to-do list, your action list changes because
Mhm.
you only have limited amount of time. And so you end up saying yes to the most important, impactful things and saying no easily without feeling guilt for the things that aren't going to matter. And so I'm in the yes mode, which of course you and I both know when you say yes to something, it actually means you're saying no to other things as well, but you're saying yes to the things that are most important. So I am celebrating saying yes to the most important things that are going to move me, my family, and everyone around me forward. So that's what I'm celebrating.
Love it, love it, love it. I know one of the questions or one of the topics that came in this week was, how do you stay so positive?
Mm.
And that's important because, yeah, we've always got smiles on our faces. I had the opportunity to go back and look at even our past videos from like a year and a half, I think almost 2 years now. And we're always smiling. Why is that, Heather? Why are we always smiling? Why are we always so positive? What are we doing that keeps us in this jovial mood?
That's hilarious, John. You know, Energy is contagious. And for any of our listeners out there, me and John spend about 4 minutes before we go live to say, all right, are we ready to rock and roll? And we do some breathing exercises and we do some getting prep for it. So we are at our max energy as we come to be of service to you. And that is a tip for any activity that you're doing. Do you walk in the house at the end of the day and just like breathe a sigh of relief? Or before you get out of your car to walk in the house, you're like, I am so grateful that I get to go and say hi to my family. And it's all about choices in the energy frequency that you want to be at. And I have to tell you, John, I'm not always happy. That would be not being realistic. But I also know that when I'm not happy, it's time to re-energize myself. So you're not going to see me on the podcast because guess what? If I wasn't happy, I would say to you, John, you're not going to get the best of me.
Yeah.
So let's not have this meeting or let's not have this podcast recording. And in fact, you know what? Last week, I said exactly that to a group of people that I was supposed to meet, and I said, "Could we reschedule? Because I promise you, I want you to get the best of me, and right now is not that time." And they were actually really grateful, and we met again a few days later. And they reminded me what I said, and I hadn't remembered that I said that. They reminded me what I said and how impactful it was that I asked for that permission when I needed it. So that would be another tip I'd give. What about yourself, John? What
Yeah. Actually, so, quick question. I want to ask you because I think this is interesting. So, we don't always have the opportunity to postpone things like that, right? We don't
Mm,
have the opportunity to say, well, right now is not like, 'cause I think about it, if I'm teaching a class, right? I can't
mm,
just say to my class, hey, guys, you're not going to get the best of me if I just, if I show up today, right? Or, there's a meeting and there's an important meeting at work, or you're slotted to be a speaker at an event, right?
Yes.
So there's, yes, when you can, absolutely. Hey, right now, not a good time. I know we do that all the time, right? Right now is not a good time to have a conversation. Let's have it later. Not a problem. But what do you do when you don't have that? When you don't have that opportunity to say, let's do it later. Like, you need to be in the moment. You need to be able to step into it. What do you do, Heather? Because there's got to be moments like that for you, for sure, right?
Yeah. We've learned this technique, and oftentimes our brain and our body are so aligned that our brain is just automatically telling us we should feel a certain way. And you can actually circumvent your physiological being by acting or moving your body in a way that is how it would look if you want to be in a positive state. So, if we're anxious, if we're afraid, if we're tired, our shoulders are curled in, our chin is down, we're not taking in deep breaths. And so our brain goes, oh, tired, stressed. This is all of the signals. So I'm going to feel that way. And then I'm going to create stories in your head. And anybody listening out there knows this is true, to create stories or possibilities that might tell you that you're right. Because our brain always wants us to be solving problems and tell us they're right. But here's the kick. And John, you were already doing it. If anybody was watching on camera, they're watching you do it real time. Shoulders back, chin up, take a deep breath. And in your mind's eye, think of a moment in time that's already in your life when you have already felt the way you want to feel. So if you're about to walk on stage, John, think of a time when you walked with absolute confidence on stage. And now walk into your classroom and teach the class. Because everything that you already need and want is within you. And that goes for every human being on the planet. So if that is at your fingertips, by just using this amazing tool of your brain, wow, anything is possible.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, it's a quick little state shift. And here's the thing, right? Like, you're just moving in and out of states. It's one of the things that we talk about as NLP professionals. But the thing is, and here's, some of you might be thinking about or worried about, well, like, how do I sustain that? Like, so here's the thing, it can be a temporary state, right? It can be something that you just step into the moment, right? Like, if you're in the middle, like for myself, if I'm stepping into a classroom, I only need to be in that state for the duration of the classroom, like for the duration of the class, or the duration of the speech, or the duration of the coaching session, whatever it is, whatever I'm stepping into. And then at the end of it, I can jump out of it, right? And the one thing I think about, and I always think of Beyonce for some reason, not that I walk on stage thinking like I'm Beyonce, maybe. But, I think about Beyonce. When she used to step on stage, she used to step into what she called her alter ego, Sasha Fierce. Right. And for the duration of the concert, she was just Sasha Fierce. Like, there was nobody else. There wasn't Beyonce, the choir singer. This is, Sasha Fierce, the performer. And she would get on stage and she would do her thing. And then she would jump off stage and go back to being Beyonce. Right. So you can actually have temporary, alter egos. Right. Like, you can step into different alter egos as you need them. And even one of the things I learned from Tony Robbins was, in the moments where you feel like you need that extra push, you need that extra jump, you need to get past that barrier or mood that you're in right now, step into that alter ego for the time that you need, right? Mine's called, my alter ego is called Thor, right? So Thor jumps in.
Okay.
I know. I'd love to be 6'2" with blonde hair. But I step into the alter ego, I do my thing, and then you go back to being you right after you're done. So it doesn't necessarily need to be something that's long-term. It could be short-term. And then you can go back to whatever you're feeling. But here's the thing. You never really go back 100% to the way you're feeling, because you already start to feel different.
You've already done the state change. when you talk about short bursts of time, I do that. I can get distracted. I can be focused on one thing and then move to another. And I'm sure there's lots of people listening that have that same experience. And when I see that and I know I got to get something done, not only will I time block and set a timer for myself, but I'll say to myself, I am the most focused person in this room. Well, sometimes I'm the only one in the room. So it's a true statement. But then if I'm the most focused person, then I have to act like the most focused person. And the act and the behavior of the most focused person means that distractions are away. My phone is far away from my hands, that I know what I need to get done, and I stay the course. So, and I'll time block for just 10 minutes. I'll say, Heather, for 10 minutes, you've got to get working on this. And 10 minutes easily turns into 20. I set that timer again. And now I really truly was the most focused person in the room. And then guess what? I can go back to whatever state makes sense. But like you said, once you get one thing done, you feel the win, and then your brain wants more wins. So it'll stay focused for even longer.
Yeah. And you just kind of trickle from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. Listen, you can get so much done when you do that, when you have that focused attention of, sometimes, and we call them in NLP, we call them anchors, right? So we create things that get us into that happy move. Like, how do you stay positive? Well, listen to something that makes you happy, right? So I don't know is there a song that kind of does it for you, Heather? A song that really boom, it kind of shifts your state, that gets you into that good mood?
I have a whole playlist. There's a whole playlist. In fact, we should probably share our playlists because I know you've got the playlist as well. But Farrell, just be happy. Like, that's the easiest one. It's actually telling you exactly how to think and behave. So it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, so it's funny that you say, be happy. Will Ferrell. What's the other guy? There's I forget the guy's name. Oh man, the song's escaping. Don't worry, be happy. Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah. So in high school, so before they rung the bell, they would always play this song, right?
Ooh.
Don't worry, be happy, right? And I'm all through high school, I never why do they keep playing that song? Like, what? So, and now that I know NLP and I understand how all this stuff works, that song got us into it. It was like, don't worry, be happy, right? Like, before we even started our day, and it became that anchor for us. And back in the day, we used to go to high school for 5 years, not 4. And it was it played over the PA through the entire school, right?
Wow.
Don't worry, be happy.
And I bet you it transports you right back there when you hear that
song.
100%.
Definitely had way more back hair. It was curly and long, and yeah, it was funny. But 100%. Those anchors, right? So, on the theme of positivity, and how do you get back into that positive state? Number one, Amy Cuddy talks about it. Shift your physiology, right? Stand like a person who already feels positive.
Yeah.
And sometimes we forget that, right? And I can see why people on the subway are not very happy, because all of them are hunched over, looking over at the phones, and nobody ever looks up or makes eye contact. It's like the weirdest thing, right? I'm like, just hi. Even saying a hi to somebody is like,
well, keep your chin up, right? That's the piece that's super important. I think the other comment that I have on positivity on purpose is, what are the thoughts that you're letting into your head, and what are the defined things about yourself that you're also possibly saying internally or externally? So, if you find yourself saying or thinking things like, oh, I'm so broke, I'm broke until Friday, oh, I can't, do certain things, oh, I wish I could take a vacation. All of these things are projecting that you're not enough. And when you're projecting you're not enough, positivity state is not even a possibility. So also check in, what is getting projected into your brain and out to the environment, because you're going to attract other people that resonate at that same energy level. And if you attract more people like you, then your brain goes, oh, this is the best it can be. And you and me both know, John, when we get into a room that is vibrating at an energy level that's higher than our own, we level up, not down.
Yeah.
So
Oh, what's the line I heard today? You will always, oh man, it was such a good line. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing it, but essentially, you live up to the expectations that are held for you, right? So I forget the exact quote, and I'll share it with everybody, but uh, you will always live up to the expectations that are set for you by others, right? And if the expectations are set low, well, guess what? You're going to act as a, there's going to be low, you're going to act accordingly. They actually did a study, and it was really interesting. So they did a study. Oh man, I forget which it was. Be your future self now. And one of the things they talked about was this study on children in school, and what they found was um, the people that were conducting the study, they told the teachers, "Hey, these people did a test, and they're all gifted. So just to see if the teachers would treat them any differently." And they actually didn't do any test on any kids. They just kind of made a random selection of whoever was in the classroom, and they labeled them as gifted. And what was funny is at the end of the year, all these kids that were labeled as gifted, all were held to higher expectations, and they ended up being straight A students because of that, because they got preferential treatment over others.
Because of a bias.
So even though they might have not actually been gifted, they were treated as gifted and they acted as gifted. So, the one thing that I love about this week in particular is I've been able to connect with people. Like I'm like in that vibration. And, before we hopped on this call, I talked about meeting a common friend of ours, Mike, who was also a past podcast guest, having conversations with people that are also vibrating at a different level.
Yes.
The conversations have just been so great because you end up attracting what you're putting out, or at least what your heart is desiring. And if you're not, if you feel like you're not necessarily attracting the right people, then maybe you have to do a bit of that reflection piece, right? It's like, okay, what do I need right now? How do I get myself to a place where I can feel happy, where I can feel strong, where I can feel positive, where I can feel encouraging. And sometimes just sharing that with others, sharing that, sharing what you see good in others is a way of elevating your own personal happiness. I know it kind of sounds selfish, but if I tell you, Heather, you're awesome, you're crushing it today, you're killing it, I'm like, I feel good. Like, and I'm saying that to you, right?
Right,
like,
because
these little things
words
we can do
that are the vibration of energy that you want to vibrate at. And so and you want that. Don't we want that as a gift for everyone? And we often hold that back, and we don't give that type of feedback. We don't be our own cheerleaders. So positivity on purpose is a state change. It is getting your mind and your body to act, and it is a choice. And anyone that doesn't feel that positivity is a choice is choosing to not see it that way.
Ooh,
You can
that's some
debate
tough
me.
love there, Heather.
You can
That's
send me a
love.
message. You can do anything.
Yeah, there's some people out there I know right now say no, but you don't understand how difficult it is right now in my life. Like, there's just no way I can be positive. And listen, we're sending love to you. If you feel like you're not getting what you need, just know you're getting it from us, because we are here for you, right? Because sometimes when you feel like when you're deep in the valley, all you need to do is see a little spark of light, and that's what gets you out of it.
Well, and there's a bridge.
Reach out. Yeah,
so
go ahead.
John, there's a bridge between not being positive, and that bridge is gratitude. Because when you are sitting in gratitude, when you're even at the moment where nothing is going good in your life, and you say to yourself, I'm so grateful that I have learned this lesson. Positivity is just on the other side of that. So if you're wondering what the bridge is you have to acknowledge that you had choices, and choices got you to where you are today. You still have lots of choices ahead of you, and be grateful for the moment that you're in right now and the lessons that are learned. I think that is the call to action, John, is how do we go into this weekend being on purpose with positivity and also on purpose with gratitude? That's a journal exercise. That's a reach out to a friend. And that is a state change. Walk into the next room with your head held high, your shoulders back, and be the tallest person in the room.
I love that. Be the tallest person in the room. be the biggest, brightest sunshine you can be, right? Yeah, be you in your best way, because people are going to love you for you. So
Say
awesome.
yes to being the best version. I love it.
Yeah, yes to being the best version of you. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of the Say Yes Movement podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for sharing your love and your messages with us. Just remember, when you shift your mindset, you shift your life. Wishing you all a great one. Talk to y'all soon.